Hello everyone, welcome to Red Snapper, my name's MJ, and today we're looking at all of the cards that Iron Patriot can generate. He generates a random 4, 5 or 6 costed card, and then if you're winning at that location after the next turn, basically you need to win it the next turn, you get a 4 cost discount on that card. So we're going to look at all the cards he can generate, and obviously look at them in a tier list setting. So we're going to look at the 4s, then the 5s, and then the 6s. And also I want to say, this tier ranking, or these star ratings, they're in the context of Iron Patriot only. So for example, if you look at this 4 cost tier list, we've got we've got War Machine. There's a 4/6 ongoing you can play anywhere basically. I've given him 3 stars, but actually, I mean, he's going to be a 0 costed card, so he's a 0/6 play anywhere. That's obviously absolutely incredible, but in the context of all the other things you can get, it's actually only just fine. So let's just, without further ado, let's get into it. There's only 2 terrible cards that are basically never good, like across all of these tiers, by the way, because whilst there's some 1-star cards that I've given for 5 and 6 cost, these are the only 2 where they're like actively bad. So Black Cat is literally going to discard. That's almost never going to be relevant unless you pull like a Hela or a Ghost Rider from other forms of card generation, so that's bad. And Mr. Negative, almost never going to work with your deck, so those are just flat out bad. But even if you just look at the 2-star cards, the weaker ones, things like Sentry and Dr. Octopus, yeah, they're kind of difficult to play. Like for example, Sentry, you would need to block the right location. Dr. Octopus, you'd probably want to play into a location of theirs that is filled, but these guys, you can just wait until the final turn, and then they're like 0/8s. You just need to do a bit of extra work to get them to work. So even the 2 cost cards are not bad. We also get things like a Tumor in here. Again, you can make it work. You just need to put more planning and effort into it. And then I won't really talk about the middle of the pack ones like the 3s and the 4 stars, but when we get up to the 5 stars and the 6 stars, this is when we start going absolutely crazy with the 4 costed cards, because remember, these 4 costed cards, these are all actually going to be free. These are going to be costed 0. Keep an eye out for Mobius though. Mobius. Anyway, so I really like Stegron. Being able to get like an early clog on your opponent is going to be really nice. So I think that'll be good, like maybe from turn 5 or turn 6. Very strong. Cards like Cull Obsidian and Crossbones, again, you'll probably be able to set them up more easily, especially as one of the things with Iron Patriot is that you want to be winning a location, so you may well be in order to get the Crossbones out. But let's look at the 6-star cards. Is this Drax's final day? I know that I've put Drax like at the very top of the 6-star rating here, but I think he's just going to be good. Like, he's going to be really high power. He's got no restrictions like Crossbones and Cull Obsidian have. You're probably going to have a vaguely good idea of where they're going to play. There's also less spots for them to play anyway, so you're more likely to hit anyway. So he's just a very high power and going to feel good to just play Drax. Cards like Captain Marvel, Gwenpool, absolutely unbelievable if they're free. Gwenpool obviously you want to play before turn 6. Malekith represents absolutely huge value, but I think the best card is probably Galacta. Like, a free Galacta is just crazy. I mean, you've seen people play Psylocke into Galacta all season long. Very, very strong card and very, very strong combo to play into that and get her out early, because you get that extra turn of value. With her being a 0 costed card, makes you go even further, because you can play something alongside her on turn 4, which is bananas. Absolutely bananas. So she ends up being like a 15 sorry, a 0 costed 15 power card. So she's crazy. But let's move on. Also, actually, I should say, guys, we did discuss this in the Snap or Pass video, so if you haven't seen that, do check it out. But there are 123 different cards that Iron Patriot can generate. So you're not going to be able to, like, with any consistency, go, oh, what if I pull an Enchantress and I get a free Enchantress? You're not going to be able to bank on it. Just bank on it being exceptional value. That's what you can pretty much guarantee. So, 5 costed cards. The worst one, again, similar to our conversation from the previous slide, he's still a 1/8. so this isn't bad. He's like fine stats, somewhat similar to stature in a discard deck, 1/7, right? So not bad. The difficult thing is you pretty much can only play him on turn 6, because if you play him before then, you're discarding everything you've got. Especially if you're playing Devil Dinosaur, that's not something you want to do. But the extra difficulty, of course, is that it means if you are not playing him on turn 5 and you're planning to play him on turn 6, it also blocks you out from playing any other any other 6-costed cards. So there's a lot of difficulties with MODOK. Not impossible, like the other last few that we spoke about, but very hard. Then there's just some weaker ones like Annihilus and Nimrod. Again, the edge case scenario somewhat depends on what your opponent is playing or what locations come up. You can obviously get them to work. Honestly, Kang should probably be down there as well. But then moving up through the pack, we just got like average ones like Mighty Thor and Spider-Man 2099, which are just generally going to feel good to play down as 1/9s. But then we get into the good stuff, like the 5-star cards like Professor X. A 1-costed Professor X could be very deadly, especially on like turn 5. You got this one costed card which is going to lock down a location. That means you've got 4 other energy to fill that location with, try and lock it down and prevent them from getting into it, so that's really nice. But then you've got other cards that put out insane power like Namora. An early or cheap Hobgoblin can be deadly. But honestly, I think my favourite card here is probably Cersei. I think Cersei's just going to be crazy as a 1/7 that transforms all other cards there. So I mean, you could potentially do it on your Iron Patriot location. Probably not going to do any harm transforming the Iron Patriot. It just depends what other high tempo stuff you've got there, because you probably have got high tempo stuff there. So maybe just, you know, you get it and get generated it on turn 2 if you played Iron Patriot on curve. If you know that you're going to do that on, say, something like turn 4 or turn 5, you can start weaving in these slightly lower costed cards, especially cards that work well with Iron Patriot, maybe Kate Bishop, that sort of thing, where you've already got all of the value out of them, and then you're just going to get like the second win from them. I think that's crazy. But other cards here like Aero, unbelievable. Blue Marvel, insane value. Think of the wide board presence there, especially in a shield deck where you're playing lots of cards. A 1-costed Blue Marvel is bananas. But yeah, there's so many good options here. And as you can see, just on this chart alone, the good 5-costed cards well outweighs the bad ones. And even the mid ones, you can probably get them to work. So let's talk about our final tier list. This is of course the 6-cost cards. So starting at the bottom, we've got things like Null. I think it's just going to be very niche, obviously. If your opponent is playing Destroy, then it's really good. Even then, though, it's not a guaranteed win or anything. Remember, guys, these will now cost 2. So we are actually getting into the, okay, I actually need to incorporate this somehow sort of territory. So it makes cards like Null tricky, definitely. And Living Tribunal, again, your deck really needs to be built around Living Tribunal to get that card to work. So that's probably not going to feel good. That being said, he is a 2/9. You might be able to get it to work, but it's going to be a hard one. Then, I mean, consider Infinite. I've given him 2 stars here. It does mean you probably can skip turn 4 and then you play him on turn 5. That's kind of not too bad. Obviously, it does leave you open to Shang-Chi and that type of thing. But then moving up, we get into the really good cards. A 2-costed Arnim Zola is quite interesting. I think I'd be quite into that. I think you'd be quite happy with a 2-costed Agatha Harkness. She's going to play herself down pretty much immediately anyway with that discount when it ticks off. So that's good. But then the absolute gangbusters amazing ones. A 2-costed Mockingbird in this style of deck is going to be a 0. That's going to be a 0 Mockingbird, which is pretty much normal Mockingbird, which is fantastic. But then having the disruption available to you, especially on earlier turns with things like Magneto and Eliath, we've seen that in decks like Arashim, that goes bonkers, so those are really good. But I think my overall winner here is probably Gore. A 2-costed Gore can be absolutely huge, and it can let you spend the rest of your energy on that turn either playing other on reveals or just securing another location. But the big thing is just the amount of swing that you're going to have. They might be definitively winning one location and they'll be certain that they're going to get it, but they don't know you've got a Gore. You slam the Gore there and you're still strengthening maybe your strongest location. So yeah, it could be a big swing and a big cube potential. Other than that though, the other huge winners, cards like Leader, Odin, Doom and Ultron. Ultron's going to be fantastic. really filling in all the spots and giving you some wide presence there. So, if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe if you're new, and turn on notifications if you haven't done that as well. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next video.